Scrubball is all about celebrating healthcare. If you're in the healthcare field, no matter where you work, we celebrate you.
Howdy ho, everyone. How you doing? My name is Sharon Combs, and this is Knowledge and Nonsense. Listen, we are continuing our authenticity series. This series has been amazing. It is called introspection, reflection. It has caused me to really recognize how much time individuals spend determining whether they want to be authentic or not. And it has shown me some surprising benefits and challenges of showing up as our authentic selves, both professionally and personally. We're going to continue along with this series tonight. And tonight we have a guest who I absolutely love. I'm amazed by this gentleman, the insight that he has, the wisdom that he has, and the heart that he has to see people continually reach their dreams and sometimes maybe even get out of their own way, but to see them accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. And so I'm very honored to have with me tonight a gentleman named Chester Nichols. He is a Division I coach. He's recognized as one of the nation's best assistant coaches. He's been to the Nike's prestigious Bill of Seven. It's like a coaches consortium where the best of the best congregate. Let's see, he's helped people get in the WNBA. He's had 11 top recruiting classes. So I'm sure there are some things he has seen in his decades of being a coach, a recruiter, helping people find out exactly who they are and how they want to show up. I'm sure there are some things he's seen that will allow him to speak to authenticity. So without further ado, you guys know what to do. Share the video, get your comments ready. Some of you just get your popcorn ready and just watch from afar, but come one, come all. And let's see how being authentic can help us even reach the next level. Help us reach the next level, what that looks like. So I'm going to play this intro one more time. When I come back, we'll have Chester Nichols with us, and we'll jump right in. See you guys soon. Oh. Chester, how are you doing today? I had a little computer difficulties there, but I am back. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, I'm so excited to have you. We're just coming out of May, the month of May. I'm down here, I'm working. I'm getting ready for something called Scrubball, which was a commercial we showed at the very beginning. It's a 3-day conference. It's leadership-based, and it's down here in Dallas at the Beaverton Hotel. So I'm all cylinders go. Also, this is the month of June where I have nephews, cousins, not nephews, but close enough. It's so many people around who are very interested in getting to the next level. And what I've seen, I see it every year. I saw it as a basketball official. There's so many things we don't know, so many things we think we know. And so it can really be an anxiety producing thing and how to show up authentically as yourself. And so let me just say a little bit more about you before we jump into these questions. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I want to give you your flowers. That's something I am big on, and I've been really big on it this year. I want to give you your flowers. You have over 25 years, 21 maybe 22, 23, or 24 now in Division I. I don't know. But you've been a Division I coach. And Division I, for those of you who don't know, that is the top level of collegiate. Like that's as high as you're gonna go as far as collegiate before you go to the next level. And being a coach like that, I'm sure you've had to talk to so many people from so many different regions, people who didn't know how to show up, people who maybe did know how to show up, but helping them make that transition into not just a top tier athlete, but a top tier person.
Yep.
And so that's why I just really wanted you to be on. Your CV, just unparalleled track record, unwavering commitment to leadership, not just in sports, but in life. And I'll hush now with this final line. I'm so glad that I met you. I'm so glad that you've been someone who shared wisdom, even in my life, helping me in moments that you may not even be aware of, but you always have wisdom. And I just want to give you your flowers and show gratitude for you showing up when you don't have to, sharing your time with us. So that is all the things that I've said now. And so how are you doing tonight, Chester?
I'm doing great. Home, unwinding.
Home and on. Right. It takes a bit, right? Because
and the thing about it, the time you think you have, by the time you lift your head up, school will be ready to start in a few weeks. So
exactly. And that thing right there will translate even to not just school starting, but have you ever heard of something called time blindness? It's where people think they have a lot more time than they have. And then they wait till the last moment. It's another form of procrastination, but it's really called time blindness.
It's the one thing that you can't buy back. I mean, we can get a lot of things with money, but time is not one of them.
Right. It's the only commodity that does not replenish. So we're in this series, sir, and it's talking about being authentic, how to show up as authentically yourself. Now, we started it in healthcare, but as you know, we do things inside of the department and outside of the department. So although you're not in a hospital, the traits that you help people with and the things that you work within and athletes, all of the families in healthcare, everybody has an athlete in their family.
Right.
And so as far as being authentic, we really have been trying to say, like, to identify some things that could keep you from showing up as yourself, things that you not showing up yourself could prevent you getting to, or maybe promote you getting to. And so I wanted to ask you, when you heard the thing about authenticity and getting to the next level, what were some of the initial things that popped up in your mind?
Well, probably the first thing that came up is self-awareness. And I talk about this quite a bit, like who you are, who you're not, what you can do, what you can't do. And the whole goal when it comes to self-awareness, I think one of the biggest goals is to be comfortable with who you are, be comfortable in your own skin. You're the only expert on you. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's not a person on the planet knows you like you know yourself. And once you start stepping off the track of trying to be someone else, I mean, it can happen for a period of time, but when it's all said and done, people will see right through that.
So when you say self-awareness and knowing yourself, now there are different people at different age groups. So for someone who is in college, who is college age, what would that knowing who you are, what would that self-awareness, how would that look?
Well, I can only talk to you, and I could imagine in healthcare, but in the realm of what I'm doing, and I'm getting a 17, 18-year-old who's been so good for long periods of time, and for them to make a mistake in front of their peers or to do something embarrassing, that's not a very good feel. And they don't realize, and I mean, that's one of the things we talk to them about, is sometimes you have to fail your way through success. And one of the examples that we talk about when it comes to mindset is to think like a baby. And again, let's take a toddler or a baby, and all the baby wants to do is walk and talk. They don't care about falling down, getting hurt, unless an adult runs over and says, "Oh, are you all right?" But a baby's mindset, they're just trying to get from point A to point B. They're trying to get their thoughts. They could care less what it looks like. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's what I mean when I talk about that self-awareness portion of it, because a lot of times when we hold that in, we can't even unleash because we're worried about what it looks like. And there's a book called The Little Book of Talent. Gosh, I can't think of the author, but it's one of the absolute best books. Anyone, any field, I would strongly suggest your listeners, you know, go buy that book. Because at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable in your own skin and you're worried about what people think, because one, we shouldn't be consumed in what people think, say, or do. As long as we know we've done our best and we put forth effort and performance, that's, you know, sometimes we don't control that outcome, because sometimes there's people that's just clearly better than what we're doing. But if we know we've done our best, there's a rush that you get out of that, knowing that you did your best.
Yes. The Little Book of Talent is Danielle Cole. You actually told me about that book, and I got it a couple of years ago. You had told me about it, and it is a very nice book with some very simple principles.
Yep.
That just like either you're doing it or you're not. You know what I'm saying? Really helps you get down to it. And you're right, especially now in this social media age. And I don't hate on social media. I like social media. If you look on there, you'll see me on there. But we can become so inundated with what someone outside of us is thinking that we don't actually, we're not self-aware. We're so focused on other things. And so that's something.
And to talk about social media, just like anything, if you misuse and abuse it, I mean, you got to be ready for the consequences. Because you think about social media, more times than not, I'd venture to say 85-90% of what we're putting out there, we're putting our best foot forward. We're not talking about our failures. We want people to see us at our best. Yeah. And again, you know, that's what you get when you get with social media.
And it can. Okay, so before, I don't want to digress on the social media because I know we're going to hit it. So, so when you're helping the people you're around, because I know that you do it with your players and your athletes, but I'm sure even over that time you've had the opportunity to pour into your colleagues who may be coaches who are just now entering this realm too. And so they're going to be a little older and have a different expectation as far as professionalism and how they show up. So later, I do want to kind of ask you how you help them navigate that, because I don't want to say you're a veteran in this field, but you've been around long enough to know and see some ebbs and flows, you know, some highs and lows.
Right.
So my second question to you is, how do you encourage your players, these student athletes, to show up authentically on and off of the court without that pressure that we just talked about, like whether it's self-induced or externally induced, without the pressure to conform to external expectations?
Well, I think it starts with your vision, and with your vision being crystal clear. And again, I will go back, and please forgive me. Again, I'm going to go back to basketball, what I know, what I've done for 26 years.
All night, go to basketball. We're good.
Okay. So again, when we talk about the vision, and those young ladies come in, they got here a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things we talk about in the vision, you know, they all come in and they say they want to win championships. And I'm like, that's not a goal. That's more of a destination. So the vision has to be taken step by step, which we call the process. And in that process, like you're talking about the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, not only are you going to have them, you're going to have many of them. And it's going to hit you at a low point when you just bombed a quiz, or you didn't have a good practice, or, you know, some things that you have to overcome. But what we talk to them about is the overall vision is that everything we're doing is about March 7th. March 7th is the Missouri Valley Conference Championship. So every lift that you take in the weight room, every sprint that you run in conditioning, every meal that you eat, the sleep, everything that you're doing day to day is all about March 7th. And again, you're going to go through some things, but you can't get lost into one setback. And so many times you have a setback, it's just easy to say, let me find something else to do. But just being able to pursue and stay locked in and laser focused on what you're trying to do, that's the most important thing.
That's so good. That is so good, because you're saying it's March 7th. And so it is March 7th, like for your team. But for someone else, March 7th may be getting the promotion, or, getting hired or promoted from within. Again, so.
And also, I'm not sure if I'm talking to employers or employees, but here's what I say. Along that journey, we also have to learn how to celebrate the small victories, because it's so easy for us to focus on the negative, or you feel like that negative, it may not be very big. It could be the size of a pebble, but you may think it's a boulder. So I think it's important that we celebrate the small victories. And when I say celebrate them, because now once you've done that, now you want to start stacking chips. And as you stack chips, you get your confidence. And once you build your confidence, you're going to get to that point where, hey, the bottom line, the game doesn't know. All the game knows is, hey, what you put into it and what you're doing to take that next step.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so good. It's so many. When you talk, I feel like I could just open stuff up, but I'm not going to do it. I may do it later, but I'm going to wait. Because we're going to hold some thunder. All right. So do you share strategies with these individuals to help them?
Absolutely. Well, whether it be, again, employer or employee, the quickest way to lower morale is to micromanage. Okay. If you have people in place, put them in a position to do their best work. And if you don't do it, then you need to go back and reevaluate your managerial style. I think it's important that you give and solicit feedback. It's got to be back and forth. I also think it's important that we have effective communication. And I'm not just talking about talking. I'm talking about listening. And when I say listen with an intent to understand, not just to wait to get your point back across once you're going back and forth. I think you make decisions together in a team environment, because a lot more times than not, if you don't make those decisions together, you're going to get some rebellion in that office. Get a lot of input, and depending on who you are, be ready to delegate. Because sometimes, especially for an employer, don't be afraid to hire someone smarter than you. Again, you don't need to tell them everything to do. Get input from them. They're an expert for a reason.
I like that. As one who has micromanaged and not micromanaged, and then micromanaged again, especially when the trust wasn't there. For leaders, you said put them in their best position. Now, that's easy when they are showing up authentically, but when they're not showing up authentically, how do we help those? Because you said employers and employees. So how will we help employees? How can an employee show up authentically?
I think you start by asking what's your why. And then, you have that conversation like, what are you ultimately trying to get out of this? Are you chasing your passion? Or is this just a job where you're checking boxes, get a check? Gosh, that's a good question.
Yeah. What made you choose to do right? And actually, that will actually help them too by asking that question, because it will, like, if you ask me that question, it will cause me to look at what in me wanted to do this thing.
And then to finish that off, I believe it's important that you ask, especially as an employer, how can I help you get to what you're trying to get? And it's more than words. I think your words and actions have to align with each other. And I think when it's all said and done, if you take care of your people, they're going to take care of you.
All right. You believe that, right?
I do. I really do.
I love it. I do.
when I tell you I have worked for some of the best of the best, I've worked for 4 out of 6 of the head coaches I've worked for have been USA basketball coaches on one level or another. I've also had the opportunity, who I'm currently working for now, to play for a national championship during the time at Texas A&M. So I have been around some of the best of the best. And when I tell you the common core they had, they all wanted to know, how can I help you be the best at what you're trying to do? You know, who can I call for you? What can I do for you?
I love that. All right. I will be using that strategy this week, sir. I'm going to throw it into our training. So now on your team, on your squad. Hey, Lori. Lori says, love this. On your team and on your squad, how do you create that culture amongst other team that values authenticity? Especially because even though you have team members and college athletes, also in healthcare, you know, we have entry-level positions, frontline employees. There's something, in my day, it was called ragging, but it's like almost like a culture of like one-upness. So how do you help the team have that type of culture where everyone can kind of be authentic, you know? Like,
you know what? That's a great question as well. I think it's important as a leader, CEO, head coach, whomever, you got to bring a meaningful message. And that message, I'm talking about with confidence and conviction. The trust level, there's got to be a level of trustworthy. And if you have a high level of trust, you'll get high performance. But on the flip side, if you got a low level of trust, you're going to get low performance. And that trust is, you know, there's a time element with that trust. You're going to have to spend some time in some intimate settings where it's one-on-one conversation and it's not about the job. It may be, hey, how's your family doing? Hey, you're not yourself today. How can I help you? You know, how can I help you get through what you're going through? You know, what can I do? And again, that when we start talking about culture, we're talking about an environment. We're talking about an atmosphere. One of the things that we talk about, at least in our office, you know, what you permit and what you promote will show up on film. And yeah, it's one thing for us to practice, but for us to perform, and I would equate it to a Broadway play. Like, there's a million different things, a million different details that go into a performance. And if you're late, and if you're cutting corners, eventually it will show up on film. It's almost like raising a child. And again, what you're doing at home, and that kid, you tell that kid, no, you can't have candy, and they get in the store and fall all over the place. And again, what you did at home, what you permitted, what you promoted, and again, you talk about social media, it burns me up when I watch them promote and permit a child doing some stuff like that. Again, it's not good. It's not a good representation of you.
All right.
And I think that's when you start talking about culture. I think you talk about atmosphere. I think you talk about environment.
Yep. I am. That is exactly what I'm talking about with culture. Because if, say, you're showing up authentically as yourself, but other people are not, whether that's out of fear, they're not used to that, whatever the reason is, I'm wondering how difficult it would be for the person who is showing up authentically as themselves in an environment where, you know, people don't. You know?
And you know, I sit there and think about it. And I mean, more times than not, even in high school, and I was fortunate enough, I actually played for a former NFL player, and he drilled that in. When we talked about commitment to excellence, and, you know, a few things he talked about was like, do your job. And when you do your job, you got to know your job to do your job. And that's how the culture starts. And then the culture piece, that a lot of times people don't get it right, because again, that focus needs to be we over me. Because what's best for you may not be best for the team.
Wow. And you know what? So when we come back, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. But the next question is, how do you balance the need for discipline and structure with allowing your athletes to show their individuality and the unique strengths? Because it is a team and it's we over me. So how can individuals show their individual strengths? Like, does it show up? But I will ask you that question when we come back after this commercial break. Guys, this is Knowledge and Nonsense, and we're here with Coach Chester Nichols. Listen, if you have a question, I can see you guys out here watching LinkedIn. We can't see your numbers, but I know you're there because I have you up. So if you have a question or something or a comment that you want to share with Coach Nichols, please put it in there because there's a wealth of knowledge here, and like we said, time doesn't replenish. And later on you'll be like, will you ask? And I'll be like, you should have put it in the comments and maybe you'll get him next time he's on. But so we're going to take this quick commercial break and we will be right back.
Those in the know SIPS Consults. SIPS Consults is hiring. Confident, competent, and consistent. Starting as a consultant and a volunteer, SIPS has grown into a dynamic group of stellar sterile processing professionals, offering excellent benefits, 401k, and consultant in training program. We are hiring certified technicians, leads, supervisors, interim managers, educators, coordinators. Apply at recruiting@sipsconsults.com or dial 1-866-615-7977.
All right, guys, and we're back on Knowledge and Nonsense. This is Coach Chester Nichols. My name is Sharon Combs, and this is Knowledge and Nonsense. One of the things with Knowledge and Nonsense is we want to vet the patterns, the perspectives, and even sometimes the position, because when you change positions, sometimes you see things differently. But we want to vet these things and look at them, evaluate them. Is this knowledge or is this nonsense? This series is about authenticity and how one can show up authentically as their self. Is that going to promote you? Is it going to promote elevation or promotion? Is it going to prevent elevation or promotion? We've talked about everything from code switching to nonverbal code switching, I call it, where you come in and you're so busy trying to fit into something that you're not thinking about what you have. And so we have Coach Nichols here with us today. And I just love what you said, what you permit and promote will show up on film. I love that because I'm a fan of practice makes permanent, not necessarily just perfect. You may have something different to say about that. And my last question before we went to a commercial break was, how do you balance, in helping people be authentically themselves, you remaining authentically yourself? How do you balance the need for discipline and structure with allowing athletes to showcase their own individual strengths and individuality while still being a part of this team, of the environment, of the culture?
Well, I'll answer that. There were about 3 questions in that I tried to catch.
Just take the one that stuck out.
Well, first of all, when I hear discipline, most people hear discipline in the form of punishment. I see discipline as a form of correction. I think it's important that you correct behavior and critique it and do it with confidence and conviction. You'll hear me say that quite a bit because I just think that gets missed. And then we talk about positive reinforcement over the negative because it's natural for us to focus on the negative. We can do 9 things right, but the one thing we do wrong, we can't focus on the 9 things we did right because we're so stuck on focusing on the wrong thing. So, and then more importantly, especially, we have a lot of newbies on our team right now, and as we're installing different things and they're learning our terminology, we have to catch them doing it right. I actually walk around with a pocket recorder because if I catch them doing it right, I record it, and that way when I'm watching film, I can go back and say, oh, you did this, this, and this yesterday. You struggled with this, but you came back and did this and I want to make sure that hey, this is what we expect, and then we can keep stacking chips. Because if we can't do that with our employees, again, they're gonna say, well, what am I doing right? Like, you need to beat them to the punch and catch them doing it right.
That's so good. That is so good, because what you bring attention to, what gets your attention will get your intention. I always say that, but I didn't even really just think about how you just said it there, because you're bringing attention to what they're doing good. So that's where their focus is going to go.
Right.
And yeah.
And again, you've reinforced that behavior. So now that you've done that, they're going to do that well and build on it. And again, I know for us, how we do that and we stack those chips with the individuals, when those individuals get better, our team gets better. Excuse me. Our team gets better once those individuals are better.
That's so good. And so in showing up authentically, as you had mentioned, getting to March 7th, having the vision, making sure you have a vision, celebrating the, what people call the little wins, but celebrating that progress, that achievement along the way, and not only focusing on what's done wrong, but what's done right, like doubling down on what's done right, instead of giving all of your attention and energy to what was done wrong. That is so good. Like, that's so good, because again, and showing up authentically, the reason we're doing this series, I had shared with someone, my legal name is Les Sharon, but I go by Sharon when I came into the healthcare field. And there's just so many things. Lori says, right. She's saying right to what you said. There are so many things when I came in, even to this field, coming from leadership and training, and just absolutely, like, I kind of like my life. And I have moments where I'm so in the zone, that convergence is on. I'm in my sweet spot, doing what I like to do at the skill set that I have. I call it my sweet spot. Everything is converging, right? However, when I came into a new industry, a new space, I was looking, like, even though I would have thought I was just super confident, I remember feeling like some unfamiliarity and some insecurity, because I was looking to see, how do I fit into this place? And I wasn't even thinking, how would I fit authentically? I was like, how do I fit? So when you see people coming in, or they're having to interview, when they're presenting themselves to coaches and things like that, those are all types of interviews. How do you advise them, or what type of wisdom do you give them on how to truly be confident in what they do without being overbearing or arrogant, or received in a way that they weren't trying to be received? Long question.
And again, I go back to self-awareness. And the reason I say self-awareness, that initial first conversation, because a lot of times they will come in and they don't know who they are. And it may be something simple as media training, or preparing them for their elevator pitch. Like, can you tell people who you are? And I'm like, when people ask you, tell me about yourself, they don't want your work history. They want to know who they're getting ready to hire. And, we start from there. But to answer your question, I mean, it's not one answer. It's multiple conversations, and them being able to see it. And again, we as coaches and the support staff, we try to do everything in our power to make that vision crystal clear, and then align it for what they're trying to do down the road. And I'll give you a good example of what I'm talking about. When we have our one-on-one academic meetings, I have a note card in their file. And in that note card, on one side of it, it tells me a bio, who they are. On the other side of it are the 3 things they want to do once they're done. And more times than not, chances are most of them will say they want to play pro ball, whether it be WNBA or playing overseas, their field of study, and then a random third one. And we talk about all the skills that's necessary to do that. And once they happen to be detracted from that, we do everything we can to kind of get them back. Like, hey, what's your why? And how are we going to do this? And again, we walk hand in hand, step by step with them on that.
Okay, so this time flies by. It is already like 40 minutes in. I'm telling you, it flies by. So I want to ask this question. It is not on the thing, but I want to know. Like, I know when people ask me things, I'll be like, I coach, I train, I speak. I coach, I train, I speak. Like, I know those are three things I'm going to do. I'm going to coach someone, not the way you coach them, but for personal growth and professional growth. I'm going to coach. I'm going to train in things like communication, emotional intelligence, and I speak. I go and I speak to different individuals at different places. I coach, I train, I speak. What are the things that you double and triple down on? You've been doing this a while, so to help people be authentic, you have a program. You guys have a top-notch program. Like, you didn't just throw together a team at the rec. You have a top-notch program that you've invested hours in and selecting people and going after people. What are the areas that you double down on in your process and that you triple down on? Like, you just stick with it.
On a personal note, I try to align my core values, and I have 1A and 1B. I mean, respect is one of them. And again, when I talk about respect, I'm talking about a deep admiration, even the ultimate currency, not money, not jewels, but respect. To have a deep admiration and be able to look someone in the eye, closer to the point, when we go out and recruit a kid and evaluate them, how they interact with their family, particularly their mother, their father, the people around them, their loved ones. And if you can't respect them and we're around, what makes you think you're going to respect us when it's time to coach them? And then the other one of my other values is gratitude. And I just think the more you're grateful for, the more you get. It's hard for me to be around someone who's ungrateful. And again, with kids, they do what adults allow them to do. But on the flip side of it, animals know right from wrong. Again, I just think you just can't be disrespectful and expect to prosper.
That's so good. The CEO of the company, SIPS Consults, said one of my clients and someone I partner with, one of her things, she's like, there's no way you can sustainably do good when you're doing wrong by people. Like, and she just stands on it. And she stands on it. And I bet it helps her sleep at night, Yeah,
you can't call right wrong and wrong right.
Yeah.
In any field.
All right. So I mentioned a little bit about social media earlier, and we almost went there, but I was like, no, let's go back because I wanted to get to the questions. So in what ways, this is a long question, let me make it short. How do you address challenges that arise when people feel like they need to rely more on what social media personas are saying rather than their authentic selves, or someone who's in their circle genuinely trying to guide them right?
I'm not sure if I mean, depending on who the kid is and, how much we value the kid and the kid's skill set. When it comes to social media, I mean, it's enough education out there about social media and the dangers of social media. But it's boggling because I'm just not sure that we really hit the point, but I'm sorry.
No, you said you're not sure that we're really hitting it the way well, let me expound a little. Okay. So again, everybody watching has someone in their family. I see the hearts and the love right now. That's good. Y'all give us some more hearts and love. I'm with it. Everyone has someone in their family who's involved in a sport: soccer, tennis, football, basketball, band. There may not be a sport, but you understand what I'm saying. They're involved in that. And whether they want to be first chair or first team, or whether they want to start on varsity and not on JV. And so I have seen people at every age. Some of I officiate basketball, so I see it differently sometimes than Coach Nichols. But I've seen people at different levels, and someone who may be a coach or a referee will share something with them, and they will go to like a social media, maybe following somebody who plays AAU, and they will go off what that person who's playing AAU says about, I don't care, I got to get my points. I got to get my points up. And so now this person you don't know in social media is in competition for your ear with your coach or whatever team you're on. And so that's what I was saying. Like, how do they be authentic, especially if you're 5'8" and you're trying to play like somebody who's 6'6"? You know, like there's a difference there. So I don't know. Does that help? What I'm
absolutely. And the thing about it, it goes back to self-awareness, because if you're worried about what other people think, and let me be really clear and candid right here. When you start misabusing social media, once you hit send, you can forget it, because it's costing you scholarships. It's costing adults jobs. It's costing so many things, because when you make decisions, just like anything in life, there's consequences that you're going to have to live with. And I could not imagine expressing my feelings on what I see in grassroots basketball, because I wouldn't have a job if I really did that.
Because you can't bring it back, and people will put their own perspectives on it. It's just not worth it.
Nope.
It's not worth it. And so that's really good. That's really good. So authenticity. You guys you have been part of many different programs. So how do you show up, your organization? Like, how do you integrate the voices and perspectives of the multiple generations to ensure that you're able to reach and resonate with today's athlete? You know, because I truly believe people don't really rock with fake. I know sometimes when you see it on social media, you believe that that's true. And so it's because you believe it's true that you really respond to it and connect with it. But in real life, people that other people know to be fake or insincere or disingenuous, most people do not prolong their time with you or try to do more investment with you like that. In short, they don't rock with you. So how do you integrate the voices and the generations in such a way that you can still resonate with the people you are courting, and that they can court with you, and everybody is still fully themselves?
Here's what I will say. We cannot lead from the generation that we were raised. Let me be crystal clear with that.
Tester! Oh my God!
And Lord knows I have some old school values. My mom integrated the public school system in 1969. So how I was raised and what was expected. Today's young men and young women, they would not respond in the right way to that. So that's why it's important that you meet them right where they are. You have to meet them where they are. The other thing, I just lost my train of thought, but
we cannot lead from the generation we were raised in. I'm over here typing it.
Right. We cannot. But I think when it's all said and done, as an employer, as a CEO, head coach, whomever, I think you have to do exactly what you say you're going to do. And again, it goes back to that trust. When you say one thing and do another, you have just killed. You've killed your trust right there. You have to do what you say you're going to do.
That's so good. That is so good. That is so good. Why again? Like, let's hit some examples. I know you, like I said it all, but let's hit some examples, because different people watch, whether they're entry level or whether they're director and C-suite, head coach, or physical trainer, like different people on the organizational chart. You say you have to do what you said you're going to do.
And then when I talk about how we were led, like it was unheard of. Charlie Mae Nichols told me to do something, and my response was, why? Because I told you so. But everything that we're doing now, again, I have to tell myself, don't forget to coach your why. Don't forget to coach the how. So I think that's so important. How we lead them. It's important that you meet them right where they are.
That is so good. That's so good. You have to do what you said you're going to do.
Yep.
Whew. Okay. And All right. So authenticity, that's the role that it plays in your recruiting process. You do what you said you're going to do, and you don't try to like lead people from the generation you were raised in. You
Right.
actually extend yourself to where they are.
Right.
Okay.
With the understanding, again, for me personally, my two core values, one is gratitude and the other one is respect. With that in mind and everything aligned, yes, I will meet you exactly where you are. But again, you have to have an understanding that, hey, if we're doing these things, there's a place we're going to take you can't take yourself.
Okay. How do you get the buy-in for that?
How do you get the buy-in?
Yeah, you said it's a place we're gonna, so they already have to be coachable. Well, oh my gosh. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Here's the deal. You can't buy into something that you don't believe in. Whether it's a vehicle, you're not going to drive it unless you're not going to buy it unless you test drive it. I can give you 1,000 different examples, but again, for you to buy into something and come in and do it day in and day out and do it at a high level, you have to believe in it, and you got to show examples. You got to hear testimonies. You got to see different things where it worked and where it was successful. Because the first time it's not successful, again, we go back to the book by Daniel Coyle, Little Book of Talent. He articulates that like to the T on what it looks like. And again, you're going to fail your way to success. But again, you're going to get buy-in because they believe in it. And more times than not, you got to hear it, you got to see it to do it.
Man. So as a leader, Chester, again, I'm coming off the thing. We're talking now. As a leader, you don't even have to look down there to that question unless you just want to speak to it.
Okay. No, you're fine.
Okay. As a leader, so you're a leader. You are a D1 coach, so I know you're surrounded by excellence, and I know you're surrounded by a highly competitive atmosphere, because the higher you go up in anything, there are less slots at each level. So to go to the next level, you have to have some things that are almost muscle memory, doing what you say you're going to do, making sure you're following through on things like that. So for you at this level, being authentic, how do you, never mind. Give me a second. Let me get that question right. As I'm getting this question right in my head, guys, I want to say, please connect with Coach Chester. Can they connect with you on LinkedIn? And I also know they can come visit your website, the Chester Nichols, especially if you are out there and you're working with not just young people. I mean, he doesn't only speak to young people. If you're wanting to coach a program, lead a program, if you wanted to see some transformation within the organization you're with, and you want to see a change agent, people who can actually get engagement and meet people where they are, by all means, guys, reach out to Coach Chester Nichols. You can find him on LinkedIn. You can find him at thechesternichols.com. You probably can find him sometimes on TV if you watch a lot of sports and, happen to see him coaching his team there. So we see how players can bring their true self to the program. Let me take that right on off, so I'll quit looking at it. How people can bring their true self to the program. We're talking about authenticity. You're saying, do what you said you were going to do. Know your why. It's almost like you're saying people have to be intentional themselves. Like they have to know who they are and what they're moving toward. And you mentioned we're going to take you somewhere that you haven't been, that you may not know how to get to yourself. And when you said that, what stuck out to me is that means they almost have to be coachable already. I just want that to drizzle down. Is it hit? Like, whether you are a professional, whether you're a student athlete, don't just put this out of the way like, oh, that's for athletes or that's for this or for that. It's not, guys. Wherever you are, you have to be coachable yourself. So go ahead.
And what you're talking about starts with consistency. And one of my old coworkers, he and I, we talk about it all the time. And part of being consistent, one, you have to be present. And, you have to be so laser focused in the now. You can't worry about what happened yesterday, last week, because if you spend that time working on that, more time, we deal with it in families all the time. And again, more times than not, when you're so locked in, the people that's hurt you, they don't even know they've hurt you. But if you're present, that's a whole nother story right there. 1, being present. 2, being patient. Being patient for whatever comes. Like I said, you're going to experience some failure. And as you experience that failure, you learn from it. And then right there at the end, on that other part about being consistent, if you can put them all together, be deliberate about your actions and what you're doing. And that, I think that's how you get buy-in. I don't think you go against what you believe in. You don't go against your values. And I think it's important that you're present. I think you got to be patient. I mean, you got to be patient for who you're leading, who's around you. But again, I think you also got to be deliberate in your actions.
That's so good. That's so good. So we heard it there. Be present, be patient, and be deliberate in your actions. That means you have to fully be there. You have to show all the way up. And so even as we're talking about authenticity, I do want to encourage everyone looking right now. Guys, we already an hour into this thing. I'm telling you, that time flew by. I want to encourage you, like, you get to decide how you show up. And I know I say it, but I want you all to hear others say it as well. Like, you get to decide how you show up every day. So choose how you want to be consistent. Don't just say, I want to be consistent. Like, point your consistency toward a certain area, whether that's you working out, whether that's you studying, even when you don't have homework, like whatever you're doing, point those things in that direction, because you get to decide how you show up daily. You do. And so whatever age you are, whatever field you're in, those of you who are watching and who are going to watch, guys, share this video. Don't play. Share this video. Quit playing with your life. We all know that we have people who swear that they want to make it to the next level, not just in sports, but in other things. And the content here tonight has been top tier. And so share this so that people can have an informed opportunity for success. You know, it's so heartbreaking to me when I see somebody step up for a promotion and they really are not prepared. They haven't done the due diligence to even be prepared. They just want the title. And it can be difficult. So I said a lot there to just say, you get to decide how you're going to show up. Coach Nichols, I am so glad you're here. Do you guys, do you have any questions? As I said, I can see you watching and I can see you on the other one. Do you guys have any comments or questions that you want to ask Coach Nichols before we move on? I definitely wanted to give him time to put something in there, Coach Nichols. Okay. Will you let people know, like, how they can connect with you? I know you have the website, but for people who want you to come and speak or talk to their programs to empower.
Yep. All of my contact info is in that website. For the most part, I usually get back within 12 hours. Again, I'm always available. Like I said, if this is something that you're serious about, I'll be glad to share some insight or come out where you are.
All right. Man, Coach Chester, I am so, thank you so much. If there's ever anything I can do for you, I'm always going to put your name out there. I keep putting your name out there. Again, well, you know, I'll be like, hey, let's ask this gentleman, because he's, you know, he not only does he know, but he cares. He cares. And so even for the people who are on your team, I know you've been with different programs who are on your team. I'm really excited that not only that the parents and the coaches trust you with the people that they've poured into, but I am honored by the way you honor that. Like, you don't take that lightly. And I know it. And so I want to give you your flowers. You know, I no gassing, but I do want to give you your flowers, because you do make yourself available for these individuals who are going to go and shape the world. And whether it's in the WNBA or in some executive position, whatever they want to do, I don't care if it's gardening, you know, whatever it is that they want to do in their why, they're going to be better people for having met you, having interacted with you, and the fact that I know you don't take it lightly. You're not cavalier at all about what you pour into people. Lori said, thank you for sharing your wisdom. Lori is watching us from Indiana. I think maybe Indianapolis. Yeah, she's an amazing individual. She'll be down in Dallas. Well, I don't want to put all the Kool-Aid out there, but I know that I shall see her a little later at a conference. So that's all I have for you, sir. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to share or say? That we're here. We are your audience.
So again, along that journey, the one thing I'd leave with you guys, along that journey, make sure you do the work before you do the work. So I think that's important along that journey.
Make sure you do the work before you do the work. That is so good. All right. Well, I'm not going to belabor. Thank you again so much. Thank you guys for watching and being with us. Again, guys, we're in the authenticity series. I want to encourage you. Life be life sometimes, you know, as they say, life be lifing, but also life is an amazing gift. Life is actually an amazing gift more than it be lifing. You know, we went over that today. Like sometimes we focus on things that don't happen all the time as if they do happen all the time. But life is an amazing gift. I want to encourage you to live it to the fullest. I do want to encourage you to be self-aware, to know your why, because knowing those things can help you make decisions that will impact your quality of life financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, all of these things, even physically. And so y'all have an amazing time. We will continue our authenticity series next week. For those of you who are around Thursday, we will see Kenneth Campbell with Time to Talk. And this is his final show of this season. And he's going to be giving away money. That's what Time to Talk is doing this week. So those of you who are watching, swing back by on Thursday at the same time as every Thursday, because his sponsors will be giving away money, doing some trivia about some of the things in leadership and in healthcare. So y'all be easy. God bless. Chester, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. God bless you, sir. And we'll see you guys later.